Alrighty guys, thanks for tuning into the video. So this is something that I have sort of been avoiding for a little while now. This isn't really a subject that interests me all that much, except I guess by technicality there is still technically a place for it in the game. It's not something that I would personally build unless my base was just so overtly, ridiculously large that I would feel the need to build a turret tower. But there's a few tips that I wanted to share. So this is the minimum that I would go for in terms of a turret tower. If you're going to try and turret place any kind of turrets whatsoever, this location is obviously not a good location for it. I'm just needing an open space. Obviously place this close to a base or in a more strategic area. But there's a few tips that I want to share. One, don't rely on auto turrets. I will explain why later on as to why I've got auto turrets here. But use heavies. It's just too easy these days for people to get insanely overpowered items in regards to armor, durability, and element is just so readily available now that soakers and whatnot can be cloned. So it's just not worth using auto turrets as your main line of defense. So heavies will dish out the damage for you. Next, if you multi-layer them, such as I have done here, stagger your hatch frames. So by staggering your hatch frames, you stop people from being able to block line of sight when they are directly above it. As you can see, I have still got a buttload of turrets from the bottom level that can still very easily sort of pierce through whatever creature that I'm on, or go through me if I try to do a glide suit drop into this, or if I'm dropping a stego, you've got more turrets to shoot down, etc. So just make sure that you're staggering the hatch frames, so that way the line of sight isn't going to be exact each time. Next, always have an outer perimeter to the base itself. Yes, people might be able to, I don't know, hide behind this little segment here with the double door frames, but that's not really going to protect them for very long when you think about the amount of turrets that are sitting along here. Obviously, these are not powered. I have not pin coded them. Actually, that's the next tip. Just make sure that your turrets are always pin coded. So that could be whatever pin code you wish to use. So pin code, and then just go to this copy settings option. Copy settings option, and then it'll do copy settings to all turrets in range with the pin code. Right, so easy. Set pin code to all turrets in range, so that way now they're all pin coded to this. Every single one. So make sure you pin code them. Now that they've got the option that it'll do it to every turret that's in range, there's no reason to no longer be pin coding your turrets. Next, I'm going to select this one here just because it's the closest and easiest. Change from medium to high. It sort of depends on the terrain. Sometimes medium will work better if the space is a bit more cramped. Only survivors or tamed creatures. I'm going to go with only survivors and mounted creatures for that. No warning. Never give warning. People aren't going to give you that courtesy, so don't give them that courtesy. Copy settings to all turrets in range. So, only survivors, mounted creatures, range high. Only survivors and mounted creatures, range high, and that's the same for all of them. Now we move on to why I've got a bunch of automated turrets where I could easily place heavies, right? Well, this is where things change. So, this is why it's important not to do too many auto turrets, because they take up your turrets in range slots, and it's also, I guess, a sort of a waste of ammunition for the time being. I'll show what I mean in just a second. So go to only wild creatures and keep the range on high. So by doing so, and you only choose wild creatures, which yes, I know it's a bit odd, not many people do it, but the reason why you do it is because even though it's set to wild creatures, they will still shoot rockets. So you want them to shoot, you know, the rockets out of the sky, but you also don't want people being able to walk up with their stegos and whatever else and just drain your turrets and then walk straight into your base, or they drain your turrets and then just start rocketing it. So these will still protect from rockets. Obviously, if it's drained, then they're probably just going to walk up with C4 anyways, or an Alphapura, or a mech, you know, all the other garbage that's wrecked the game in terms of raiding. Like, seriously, this is actually part of the reason why I detest making turret towers really to begin with, is because, well, you just get soaked, and then that's it, it's a sitting duck. So this is the bare minimum that I would go with it. The outer perimeter is just to stop anything from getting overly close, to try and just sort of balk things out of the way. It's just a bit of added protection, especially for the foundation itself. I've lowered the foundation downwards. I could layer it up, but I don't think I really want to. Maybe I could, but it's fine. You guys get the idea. I shouldn't show you how to actually build this, because this is exceptionally basic. I might make a more advanced one at a later date. I do have an advanced design in mind that prioritizes around using more pillars and triangle foundations, as opposed to just going for the straight square design. It's got a smaller footprint than this. It's honeycombed around the base and allows you to have turrets with less blind spots. But this is about as basic as it gets. Don't bother with turret towers unless you can make the heavies, and then have a couple of autos around the place set to high range, so just in case they try to rocket from the side, from above, below, wherever it may be, the auto turret will shoot it out of the sky still, even though it's set to wild dinos. The people who are trying to raid you probably won't know that it's set to wild creatures. Obviously you wouldn't put it in this particular area, but wherever your base is, wherever you're trying to set up a turret tower, even underwater, you know, it doesn't overly matter, just so long as it's in a place where creatures aren't going to be spawning in. So just to reiterate, a couple of tips. One, stagger your hatch frames. Okay, line of sight. Line of sight is everything. Don't have your turrets accidentally out of lining sight themselves. This is nowhere near the amount of turrets that you could put on here. You could obviously flood this, but I just don't see the point. If you're only going to make a turret tower this big, then it's either your base isn't that big, you don't have the resources, or whatever it is that you're guarding isn't going to be that important anyways. So this is just to buy you an extra half an hour to an hour to either get back on and defend, or give you time to take your loot and transmit out, or escape with it on a gas bags, or whatever it is that you guys are planning to do. So yeah, I will probably do a more advanced turret tower, as I said, with the triangle foundations, so stay tuned for that one. And in the meantime, I hope you guys sort of enjoyed this video. It's obviously a bit of a short one, and sort of one that's been covered quite a bit. But yeah, staggered hatch frames, outer perimeter, auto turrets set to wild creatures to blow the rockets out of the sky, and that's about it. Sure, you could double up the foundations, you could double up the walls, and yes, that will make the people take extra time to sort of raid it, but at the same time, that's extra resources for you. Diplo, you are testing my patience. So, actually I should have let it away. I should have, its tongue's hanging out its mouth. That is disgusting. Alright, so with this build, this will be the blueprint for the next design as well. Don't forget that having turrets close to the base itself also means that as people are trying to soak the first layer of turrets, then they get a little bit closer after they've soaked that, and they've still got to try and soak these ones out, etc. You know, that's just sort of how it rolls down. So don't have them all on the outer perimeter, don't have them all on one level, and stagger your hatch frames. Alrighty guys, cheers for watching the video, and hope you guys tune in for the next one. Catch you later.